we can no longer afford to think that the realization of a beautiful dream of success is only found either in the UK or the US.
Modern dating, harder or just more honest? Is it harder or just more honest? Modern dating.
I want to ask you now. What do you mean more honest? How do global economic shifts affect young people in Botswana? Okay, so my understanding of the global economy is such that post the decline of the British kingdoms and other European kingdoms, there was a rise in the kingdom that is the United States of America. That has led the world economy in many ways and determined a lot of global matters. And at the point that we find the rise of BRICS, we find the rise of OPEC, we find the rise of many other factors that are moving us to what could be a multipolar world. So we must look at it from different fronts, in my view. Number one, from the perspective of the United States has instituted tariffs across the world, which would then mean that a young person in Botswana finds it a little more difficult to trade in America or to sell to America, because it becomes more expensive for the American to buy their product. If you look at the ban, not ban per se, but I think it's the visa bond, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
On the young person on Botswana particularly, and other African states, it becomes more expensive, terribly more expensive, for the Botswana to just go to America. A similar thing happened with the UK. That has happened. It's a little more difficult to go to the UK. You find the rise in BRICS, so China and Russia become burgeoning contenders in the global world stage. You find OPEC states, the likes of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has developed not only because of oil, but they've developed quite a stake in the sports and creative industry, which of course brought up the controversial comedy festival, where many Americans went there, and other factors. Now, I'm saying all of this to say that the world as we know it is possibly no more.
So we are no longer insulated.
We are no longer insulated, number one. But we can no longer afford to think that the realization of a beautiful dream of success is only found either in the UK or the US. So the reason why I'm saying this is with the Agenda 2063, I think, of the African Union, with the AFCFTA, these become calls for particularly a young person in Botswana to think of Africa not just as a collective or as a hub or the African Union as a club for leaders, but to think of Africa as a potential market. So I think the young person in Botswana should say, okay, how can I exploit or how can I make use of the 1 billion plus people across Africa? How can I trade with a young Kenyan? How can I trade with a young Burundian? How can I create how can I be part of a movement of young Southern Africans across Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, South Africa, Eswatini, Namibia, come together and create a corporation that will develop our region and our continent. I think the global stage right now, even former President Thabo Mbeki would say that we are moving towards a multipolar world. And if we read global politics and global economy well, I think we will see the signs that we need to now not wait for the globe to tell us what to do, but to wake up and tell the globe that Africa is here for business.
It's interesting you've said that, because I think it answers the question I was going to ask, which is,
Okay.
what should young people be in Botswana be looking at, in geopolitically? What should they be paying attention to?
First, history. Firstly, I think history, it's always been said, history repeats itself in many ways. So I think we need to read history first, well, not firstly, but we need to read the history of Chinese development. We could learn quite a bit from that.
Yes.
We need to read Russian history, not only because of Russia's place in the world now, particularly within these squabbles of Ukraine and others, but also to realize, how Russia developed, the Russian Revolution, what happened from there, the descent of communism. And besides just looking at the fact that communism is bad, there is a lot to learn there. Western history also is quite interesting. Look at the development of France and the UK and Germany and Italy and the US particularly. Because if we look at those honestly, we will then see how the Western countries have seen Africa historically.
Yeah.
We could use the likes of Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and other states as examples where it has been said that France still held a stake in the country, even in a post-colonial time. So it then causes other African countries to question whether they have met full independence. But within this time, I think it would also be prudent for the young Motswana to read what former President Thabo Mbeki would term as the African Renaissance. Your Kwame Nkrumahs, your Ngugi wa Thiongos, your Steve Biko's, Chris Hani's, these people who imagined an Africa beyond coloniality, or Frantz Fanon's. But also reading or looking at what the US is doing, what the European Union is doing, what the UK is doing, what the East is doing, what BRICS is doing. These alliances tell you a lot. ASEAN countries, that's Singapore, Malaysia, and others, their growth also could be a message to our own possibility and growth. So reading the dynamics historically and in current affairs of these different things, not just saying this is Singapore, for example, let's do like Singapore. But reading all these aspects, coming to ourselves and saying what is our own history, what is our own reality, and how can we consolidate what we have seen to our own reality and build forward.
So the question then is education a great equalizer in this situation, or is it a broken promise?
As it is.
Yes.
I believe it's a broken promise. In that, and I think this is the point where someone says, you were educated, or that many people are educated, and well and fine. But I think we should also look at what education has achieved and what it should achieve. I believe that education should liberate the mind. It should give the educated the tools to critically analyze, to think critically. even of the systems that educated the person. Education, I think, also to answer your question, there's a certain gentleman. The name is similar to Bourdain, I think, if I'm not wrong. He's a French philosopher. There's a gentleman on TikTok who explains this idea that status is not just a matter of how much money you have, but there are other indicators of status, education and this and that and that. So what education has become is a competition of who can go to the best school, who can this, such that you might find that sometimes money can buy education, whereas education should not be a tool to be traded in that regard. Education must be a tool to develop, right?
Yes.
To give the people the tools to say, how do we build from here? If an African in this era cannot answer the question, how do we interpret our time and develop for the future, then I don't think education has done what it should. You know, a lot of us are saying, a lot of us are saying, what have we learned? This is the right thing to do. We have done this.
Yes.
But I believe education should conjure the thought, what could be done beyond what we have been taught. You know. So I think in that way, with the lines, education is the key to success and this and that, it has not delivered on those promises. I think there is still a lot more to be done, particularly within the aspect of education.
Okay. Yeah. You can relax now.
Okay.
The hard hitting questions are done.
Okay.
But we still have a few more interesting ones.
Yes, please.
Now, this one is for young people. Some of us are old, so it's difficult to answer this. But is modern dating harder or just more honest? Is it harder or just more honest? Modern dating.
I want to ask you now. What do you mean more honest?
Because when we were growing up, it was a challenge. You almost had to go through several stages before you had the courage to approach somebody.
Yes.
But my understanding is that today, people, what do they say? Shoot their shot.
They shoot your shot.
So, in your perspective, is it harder or is it more honest?
I think both.
But what should it be?
I don't know. I think what I've come to note is that actually there's a certain professor. He owns a channel called Predictive History. He talks about the dating game.
Okay.
And looking at it from a game theory perspective, he says that dating as a competition for the best lady or the best man is a sign of the decline of society. But not looking at it from that perspective. I think from the perspective of, you said more honest or
simply harder.
Or harder. I'd say both. Well, more honest in that I think people now just are more upfront and saying this is what I want, and I think more people are more honest about that.
So, would you say that social media has distorted dating or people's expectations?
I think it's distorted humanity and relationality. I mean, you scroll on whatever social media platform, one person will say, shoot your shot. The next person will say, don't just shoot your shot. The next person will say another divergent view. So after scrolling, you'll find that you have learned about 8 rules of dating, all of which do not agree with the other. So I think in many ways it becomes harder in the sense that the dynamics become more complicated as we go. There are many factors. There's many this. I mean, many young people would be asked if money is a factor, you know. But if you'd ask someone slightly older or a little older, they'll tell you, I just spoke to her, you know. I wanted to marry her, and I asked her. I figured out the money after, you know. But now there are vacations and
all sorts.
and this and that, you know.
So the question, last question on this.
Yes.
I don't want to weary you too much.
It's a hard one.
Is loneliness being normalized among young people now?
I think indirectly. I think indirectly, in that we don't relate anymore. I think the screen digitization has given us what we call the global village. But I think we don't relate on a human level anymore, or we relate less on a human level. It's arbitrary. It's a lot of relation is arbitrary. It's about how we appear. It's about how we look, not who we are. So I think in many ways, in coming into modernity or post-modernity, we have lost our humanity, which has also affected our dating rituals, if I can say, you know. Maybe even to speak to culture and its development, there are many questions around the value of lobola, you know, and I don't know if we've had a progressive conversation around it. I'm not saying let's get rid of it. I'm not saying let's keep it as it is. But I'm saying I think we've lacked the convening of minds to say, what does this mean for who we are as humans and how we relate? You know, it affects not only the two who are getting married, but also the families that come together. Such that some would decide, you know what, we're just going to the district commissioner's office, we're paying 40 pula, we are married. But coming back from that to dating itself, there are many ways in which we have not critiqued modernity and culture to come and to find out what could actually be helpful in developing sustainable relationships, because society itself affects how we date, you know. In some societies you'd realize that a man can go into another man's heart, and whatever factors have demanded that, it's for that society. Others would advance arranged marriage. You know, you meet your person at the altar, and many other things. I think part of our problem in dating is that we have not had the social convention to actually understand what it all means. You know, so is the presentation of flowers or is a buying of drinks for a young lady, is those things that we may deem minute, I think actually affect the greater aspect of so loneliness. I think I've gone
well, feel free.
Yeah, thank you. But loneliness, I think many factors. Number one, individuality, or individualism. You're on your own. Number two, you need to be of a certain value to present yourself to society, and in many ways When one does not meet those standards, they retreat into isolation. So if you don't have the money to present yourself as a viable bachelor, for example, many young men would retreat. In many ways, the family unit has gone from extended family to nuclear family, and so relationality is reduced.
Yeah.
Many other factors, I think, have not just normalized it, but demanded that loneliness becomes
The norm.
the norm. And
Yeah.
working against loneliness becomes a rebellious action.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, last few concluding questions.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what kind of life do you want to live, not just achieve?
Yes. I want to. One thing that drives me is not just contributing to the bettering of people's lives, but to leave other young people who are more capable than myself. I think in many ways we want to be the best, but I think the best thing that we could do is to ensure that at the point where we leave the earth, we have contributed to ensuring that there are others who are better than us. So beyond what I want to achieve on a personal level, I think it would be to invest in young people. Yes.
So, what scares you about the road ahead?
A lot. A lot.
Especially speaking to the young Tswana person who's in a world that has changed so much in a short space of time, looking ahead.
Okay. I want to answer it in three aspects. Number one, what we've inherited, what we've become, and the very prospect of hope. What we've inherited is a world where, on a climate level, we are in a very scary situation. So the very outlook of the inhabitability of Earth is not looking too good.
Yeah.
Economically, I mean, if you look at Botswana's case study, the diamond hasn't been selling too well, which meant that the economy has seen a very drastic downturn. In many ways, the young people of today have experienced a lot in terms of, I mean, there's been COVID-19, but also socially in terms of absent or less than present fatherly figures, a decline in the moral fiber of society, a society where GBV is prevalent, where rape is prevalent. I mean, Botswana is has one of the highest statistics across the world. I think it's per capita, probably contributed by our small population, but still it's too much. Where violence seems to be the norm, not just physical violence, but even emotional, verbal, and mental violence. The political outlook of the world is very scary, where you don't know if there is hope for a future politically. That's a very general outlook on how what we've inherited looks like.
Yeah.
The young people of today have seen a lot of their parents, uncles, aunts, and older siblings and cousins jobless. And not that they are not educated. They've seen them go to school and sit at home, with not very little prospect of work. They have seen very little equitable distribution of wealth. They have seen very little equitable distribution of opportunity. A young person in Gaborone might have more opportunity or more hope than a young person in a more rural area. Many young people, I believe, descend into very risky behavior, like substance and alcohol abuse and drug use, because of this precarious situation. Many people are facing mental health issues. I'm just saying this to acknowledge the situation that we are in. But also, recently I went to there was a pizzo by the Ministry of Finance, called by the Vice President and Minister of Finance, Mr. Ndaba Kushnati. And there was one young lady many young people expressed these sentiments, but one particularly who said, Mr. Vice President, I'm tired. Expressing the sentiment not just that we've gone through a lot, but to also say we don't know if we can afford to hope anymore. A lot of young people have hoped in political systems, in people, in life itself to deliver justice, but it has not. So many young people are tired. But he says, we cannot afford for you to be tired. I think effectively what he was saying was not that the young people need to contribute, but it is in the hands of the young people to drive progress and development. So I think for me, I hope I'm not departing too much from the question.
No, at all.
But I think for me, the young person's position now, we must accept that it is a tricky one. It is a precarious one. It's a difficult one. Whether you are in Botswana, South Africa, America, UK, Zimbabwe, Zambia, wherever. But I think we need to occupy the role of, going back to the earlier point, of looking power in the face and challenging power and bringing forth a society that is better, not only for us, but for future generations. There's actually a gentleman the former governor of the Bank of Botswana, who said young people must bring ideas and young people must this. I wrote an article on my own personal website. I didn't share the article, but I just put it there. And part of it was saying, I appreciate Mr. Governor. I think it was Governor de Kopp. I said, I appreciate your words, Mr. Governor, but to be very honest, young people are playing in a field that is wet and muddy, in the dark, in a very poorly maintained stadium. And that's the field where young people are playing. And I think it's not time for young people to ask for a place at the table. I think we need to get rid of the tables that are there, and build new tables that assure not only a position for the young people, but a developmental voice, a voice that matters for the young people.
Okay. Yes. No, thank you very much. But I just got a few quick fire questions for you.
Yes, please.
Quick fire. Optimist or skeptic?
In the middle. Optimistic skeptic.
Faith tested or faith strengthened?
Faith
tested or faith strengthened?
I think faith tested is faith strengthened.
This one
looks like I'm avoiding now.
This one you can't avoid.
Okay.
City life or village roots?
City life. I grew up in a town, so I think I would veer more, plus more arts and policy issues are discussed in the city. So I think city life.
Then this is an interesting love before money or money before love.
Love before money. Love before money. Because if we go in money before love and money goes, hey, I don't know.
And the last one should be an interesting one.
Okay.
Leave Botswana or build Botswana?
Build Botswana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
No, that's a little bit of Haki. As you can see, there's a lot more that we can learn from the young man. Anyway, this was This and That with Brian Ngube Zgazkali.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much. This was very nice. Very tough.